Well, the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture continues at 10 o'clock this morning. Another whistleblower is expected to take the stand. Yesterday, the former BOSASA employee, Frans Voster, explained how he carried large amounts of cash to various meetings with the former Correctional Services CFO, Gillingham. Voster says BOSASA CEO Gavin Watson gave him the money in an envelope. Now, he told the Commission that the money helped BOSASA secure a catering deal with the Correctional Services Department. All right, let's get more on the story now and cross live to our senior political reporter, Mzwandile Mbeje, who's in Parktown, Johannesburg. Mzwai, thank you very much indeed for your time. So we heard from the former BOSASA CFO, Andries van Tonder. He told the Commission about, among other things, how they allegedly sourced cash from multiple sources. How compelling was his testimony?
Oh, well, Blaine, I think by and large what is happening here is that these witnesses that we are seeing now are the whistleblowers. So they are basically corroborating what Angelo Agrizzi has been saying, talking about how cash was being moved around, where they got cash from. So that is basically what they are essentially doing. I mean, if you heard Mr. Van Tonder, who was the CFO, and remember, being the CFO, it means you have to be responsible for the finances of the company. So that is why he was giving all those details to say, given that they needed to pay people, pay bribes, so they would have to have cash because this is the money that you should not account to anyone. But the question is, Blaine, where did they get that money from? He was saying they got it basically from the accounts of BOSASA. But you had to have a way to get that money from BOSASA. So he says they would then create fake labor brokers, and then they would go to BOSASA accounts to say these labor brokers need to be paid in cash, and when they actually didn't exist. And then they had arrangements with some of the liquor companies in the West Rand, and then they had arrangements with some of the garages, and a number of really entities that they had arrangements with so that they would be able to get cash. So that is the kind of the practice so that they were going through. I mean, as the CFO, so he was well positioned to understand and know exactly how it happened. But of course, Blaine, it was not only Mr. Van Tonder that took the stand yesterday, also an employee of BOSASA, who basically was responsible for cars in the main. Yes, he also was taking cash to those influential people. I mean, we heard how the Gillingham family really benefited. Not only did they benefit by being given cash so that they could be influenced to get the tender from the correctional services, but also they bought cars for this family. So many people, I mean, the father, the mother, the son, and the daughter. So all these people were bought cars by BOSASA. Yeah. But more interesting, Blaine, is also the fact that this man was responsible in the main with dealing with issues of cars. He again raised the issue of the daughter of the Minister of Environmental Affairs, Minister Mzwandile Mbeje, basically saying, so he himself was one person who hired the car at the instruction of Gavin Watson. Let's take a listen again.
At the end of November, Gavin phoned me and said, Frans.
November 2015, eh?
That was November 2015.
Yes.
Frans, Minister Mokonyana's daughter needs a vehicle. She wants a cabriolet. Please make sure that you get a cabriolet. Rent the vehicle in your name and deliver the vehicle to her house, to the daughter.
Yes.
Why he did not ask Angelo to do that, because at that stage Angelo was handling the daughter. I wasn't involved with that anymore, but it looks like he was upset with Angelo and he phoned me.
Yes.
To do so. I phoned...
when you say Angelo, you mean Mr. Agrizzi?
Angelo, Mr. Agrizzi, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, dear. So I used Well, we usually use Blake's Travel.
Yes.
So I phoned Brian directly, speak to Brian. I said, Brian, I need a cabriolet. It is for the minister's daughter. It's urgent. It's senior. Please get me a cabriolet. He was phoning all over. He came back to me.
I'm sorry. You're talking about Brian now.
Brian, yeah.
Is that somebody from Blake's Travel?
No, Brian, the owner of Blake's Travel.
Yes, that's
I
what
spoke to him directly.
Yes, okay. What was his name?
Blake.
Oh,
Brian.
okay, yes.
So that's why it's Blake's Travel.
Continue.
So I spoke to Brian. I said, please get me a cabriolet. He tried all over the country. He came back to me. He said, Frans, I can't get a cabriolet. It's festive season. All the cabriolets are rented already. I can get one, but it is in Cape Town. I said, no, I'm not flying down to Cape Town to drive a vehicle back. So I phoned Gavin and I said, Gavin, I can't get a cabriolet. Can't we get a small luxury vehicle for her to drive with? And he said, Frans, if you can't get a cabriolet, then get a luxury vehicle. So...
Get a what?
A luxury vehicle.
Vehicle, okay.
So we ordered an Audi A3, silver in color. Blake's rented that from Bidwest Rentals in Krugersdorp. They're situated in Voortrekker Road. And I had to pick up the vehicle and take it through to the minister's house. At that stage, she was a minister of water affairs. Now, knowing previously that she bumped the vehicle, I insisted.
I'm sorry, just say that again.
Knowing that she previously, when we rented vehicles for her, she bumped the vehicles.
Oh, this was not the first time.
This was not the first time, Chair,
Okay.
as I've mentioned.
Yes.
I said she needs to be added as a second driver on the account. If
You were the first driver.
I was the first driver,
Yes.
she was the second driver. Okay.
So Mzwai, speaking about the minister, mentioning her name, again we hear a name, and now, involving the daughter with regards to this hiring of the vehicle, these allegations being put forward. He also spoke about an ANC call center being run at their facilities for elections. Tell us more about that.
Oh, yes. He basically said, I think it was the 2014 elections, the ANC had its volunteers at the BOSASA offices, basically at the call center there, so where I think they were running their activities from. So, which makes it very interesting. I mean, yesterday I also did have an opportunity, Blaine, to speak to Zizi to say, I know you have been very clear in saying, so the ANC is not on trial here, but the evidence keeps coming up that somehow links the ANC to this, and here is someone else now, basically directly saying the offices of BOSASA were used to carry out the activities of the governing party. So it's quite interesting. In fact, what he said was that given that at the time, I think the minister that we've just spoken about was the head of the election of the ANC, perhaps she might have the opportunity to explain the context under which all of these things happen. And not only that, so the president and I think the chairperson of the ANC are still going to come back as well to put their version.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when they come here to talk about all of these things, they should be able to be in a position really to clarify what exactly was this. So under what conditions did they then use the BOSASA offices? I mean, even the erection of that tent where there would be celebrations after the elections. So I think all of those questions, Blaine, will probably be answered because I think the ANC is taking notes and is consulting, is checking what exactly was happening. Because, I mean, knowing the judge here, and how he remembers things. And I can tell you, he would put those questions to those representatives of the ANC to say, the ANC, we are told, did A, B, C, or D. So on whose instruction was it happening? So we expect really that at a later stage, when the governing party gets its opportunity again to come to this forum, so they would be able to deal with those things plain.
I'm sorry, we're asking our viewers about what they thought about these three employees, these three former BOSASA employees, and their testimony. They can send it to @theagenda_SABC. So far we've heard about from the three BOSASA employees, Angela Agritzi being the first. Are you getting a sense that so far that Agritzi's claims are being corroborated by the other two witnesses?
Absolutely. And, Blaine, when you look at the context and how this is panning out, basically Agritzi came to paint a global picture of what was happening at BOSASA. So some of these people, because these are whistleblowers, I think in his evidence, Mr. Agritzi did say at some point he was persuaded to meet with the whistleblowers, basically to tell them that they don't need to blow the whistle because not only one person would go down. So if they blew the whistle, so everyone was going to go down.
Yeah.
So, but it looks like these people had reached a boiling point and they couldn't take it anymore. So they have decided anyway to go ahead and blow the whistle. So then what they are basically doing, they are corroborating certain facts that were put by Agritzi. We heard from Mr. Agritzi about the hiring of the car, for example, of the daughter of the minister. And this person yesterday also repeated that he also was the one at some point who hired the car for the daughter of the minister. And then we heard from Van Donner talking about the cash, that video. Remember that video which was shown of Mr. Gavin Watson handling some large amounts of cash?
Yeah.
And then we had Mr. Van Donner here coming basically to say, yes, I am the person who took that video. So you can see these whistleblowers are basically coming to corroborate certain facts in certain areas. So we expect today, if all goes according to plan, to have two more whistleblowers. And we expect them really to do the same, to corroborate certain instances which were said by Mr. Agritzi.
Do we know who
for
they
me, Blaine, this is what will be important going forward. Well, we don't know at this stage. And remember, they are keeping them very secret until they walk in here. So the only thing they told us was that there will be two more people today who will come and give evidence. So I was just about to say, Blaine, given what is being said by all these people here, it will really be very interesting to hear the version, really, of the side that is being implicated.
Mzwandile Mbeje, SABC senior political reporter, thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Just to remind you about that question of the day, we were asking you, what do you make of the three former BOSASA employees, their testimony before the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture? Send us your comments at @theagenda_SABC.